In a time when powerful kingdoms waged war to expand their territories, Syria was a formidable force, and its commander Naaman was a hero. The king of Syria held him in high regard, and his soldiers respected him for his leadership and valor. Naaman had led the Syrian army to many victories, and his name was known far and wide. But beneath his armor, Naaman carried a burden that few knew about. He suffered from leprosy, a disease that caused his skin to deteriorate and marked him as an outcast in many societies. Though his position shielded him from scorn, leprosy was a constant reminder of his vulnerability, a painful contrast to his otherwise invincible image. In Naaman's household was a young Israelite girl who had been captured during one of Syria's raids. She now served Naaman's wife, witnessing his suffering and struggle. She could see how the disease caused him both physical and emotional pain. Filled with compassion, she approached Naaman's wife one day and said, "If only my master would go to the prophet in Samaria, he would heal him of his leprosy." Her words brought a spark of hope. Naaman's wife, desperate to see her husband healed, encouraged him to listen to the girl's advice. Though skeptical, Naaman clung to the hope that perhaps this prophet in Israel could cure him. He went to his king, who granted him permission and gave him a letter to deliver to the king of Israel, requesting that Naaman be healed. Naaman set out on the journey with a caravan loaded with gifts, silver, gold, and fine garments, as a way to honor the prophet who would, he hoped, cure him. When Naaman reached Israel, he went directly to the king, handing him the letter. The king of Israel was confused and distressed. "Am I God to kill and make alive, that this man sends someone to me to cure him of leprosy?" He thought that the king of Syria was trying to provoke a conflict. However, when Elisha the prophet heard of Naaman's arrival, he sent a message to the king saying, "Let him come to me, so he may know that there is a prophet in Israel." Naaman set off for Elisha's home, his caravan and attendants moving through the dusty roads, expecting the prophet to welcome him with reverence. But when he arrived, there was no grand greeting, no impressive display of power. Instead, Elisha simply sent a servant out to meet him. The servant conveyed Elisha's instructions, saying, "Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." Naaman was taken aback. He had traveled a great distance, bearing gifts, hoping for a miracle. He had envisioned Elisha coming out, calling upon the name of the Lord, and performing some grand gesture to heal him. Furious and insulted, he exclaimed, "Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" Naaman felt that his honor had been overlooked, and he was ready to abandon the whole endeavor. As he turned to leave, disappointed and angry, his servants approached him gently. They could see his frustration, but they had also witnessed his desperation. One of them spoke up, saying, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do something difficult, wouldn't you have done it? How much more then, when he says, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" Their words humbled him, reminding him that he was seeking healing, not honor or grandeur. With a renewed sense of humility, Naaman decided to follow the prophet's instructions. He went to the Jordan River and, perhaps feeling foolish, dipped himself in the murky waters once, twice, 3 times. Nothing happened, but he persisted, immersing himself as instructed. Finally, on the 7th time, he emerged from the water, and to his amazement, his skin was completely healed. It was smooth and fresh, like the skin of a young child. For the first time in years, Naaman felt whole, free from the disease that had plagued him. Overcome with gratitude and awe, Naaman returned to Elisha's home. This time, he did not come as a proud commander, but as a humbled man whose life had been changed. He offered Elisha the gifts he had brought, but Elisha refused them, saying, "As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing." Naaman was moved, for he realized that the prophet's service to God was pure, untainted by any desire for wealth or power. Naaman then made a profound declaration of faith. "Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. Please let me, your servant, take back as much earth as 2 mules can carry, for your servant will no longer offer burnt offerings or sacrifices to any other god but the Lord." Naaman's heart had changed, and he wished to take some of Israel's soil with him to Syria as a symbol of his newfound devotion to the God of Israel. He then shared a concern with Elisha, saying, "May the Lord forgive your servant for this one thing. When my master, the king of Syria, goes into the temple of Rimmon to worship, and he leans on my arm, I must bow there also. May the Lord pardon your servant for this." Naaman knew his duties to the Syrian king would sometimes bring him into the temple of another god, and he sought forgiveness in advance. Elisha, understanding Naaman's position, responded kindly, saying, "Go in peace." Naaman returned to Syria, a changed man. He had come seeking healing for his body, but he received something much greater, a healing of his soul and a revelation of the one true God. Naaman's story became a testament to God's mercy and power, reaching even beyond the borders of Israel, touching the heart of a foreign commander.